Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive with us. Today, we're going to be looking at something that, might seem kind of small, but honestly, it's a pretty big deal when it comes to your WordPress site. We're going deep on featured images.
Okay.
And, I used to be guilty of this myself.
Right.
Just ignoring those little guys.
Yeah.
Until I realized how much they can actually impact click-through rates.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whether people are actually clicking on your content or not.
Makes sense.
And actually, the source material we've got today even features this story about a cafe owner in Melbourne
Okay.
named Simon. And
Oh, Simon.
he's really great at writing these blog posts about new menu items and events and stuff at his cafe. But
Okay.
he keeps forgetting to add those featured images.
Oh, no.
And it's making his website look
Yeah, I can imagine.
a bit bland,
Yeah. It's a really common oversight, actually. People get so focused on, like crafting the words they're going to use and all that stuff that they forget about the visual side of things. Yeah. But online, you really need both.
Absolutely.
Imagine just scrolling through a feed and it's all just like blocks of text. No thanks.
No.
That's exactly the kind of struggle that Simon's up against right now.
Totally. And our source even points out that, not only does it look unprofessional to not have featured images, but it can also hurt you in terms of SEO.
Oh, absolutely.
Search engine optimization.
It's ironic, isn't it?
It is.
That a missing image can hurt your visibility.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But Google and other search engines, they actually do consider images when they're ranking websites. Think of it this way. A well-optimized image, it's like a little beacon.
Okay.
Drawing people in, attracting those clicks from the search result.
Attracting clicks.
Yeah. So it's not all about the text anymore. We're visual creatures, right?
Absolutely.
A compelling image can really make the difference between someone clicking on your link or just scrolling right past it.
Yeah, it's that first impression, isn't it?
It is.
That really counts.
Exactly.
Okay, so we know that ignoring featured images is a bad idea.
Yes.
What's the solution?
Well,
our source suggests default featured image plugins. But I'm curious, are all plugins created equal?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Plugins are definitely helpful.
Right.
But just relying on defaults can make your site look kind of generic. Like if you're wearing the same outfit every day,
Right.
you blend in, but you don't stand out.
Okay, yeah.
There's a bunch of plugins out there worth considering, though.
Okay.
Default featured image is one that's super popular.
Yeah.
Great for just like the basic functionality.
Okay.
But if you want a bit more control, easy featured image lets you set defaults by category.
Okay.
So you can visually organize your content a bit better.
Right.
Then there's conditional featured image.
Okay.
Which is even more specific. Like you can set images based on post tags.
Wow.
Categories, even custom fields.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, it can get pretty detailed. But
So I guess it really depends on how much control and flexibility you want. Right. It's not one size fits all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It also depends on how comfortable you are with WordPress in general.
Right. Yeah. Some of those plugins can be a little bit complicated.
Definitely. Some are much more user-friendly than others.
Yeah.
The key is to find one that fits into your workflow, and helps you maintain a consistent site that's visually appealing.
Right.
But without adding a bunch of extra hassle.
Right. And that brings us to another point.
Okay.
That our source also mentioned.
Okay.
Consistency.
Ah, yes.
It's not just about slapping on any old image, right?
Definitely not. Just Simon needs to showcase his cafe's unique vibe.
Right.
Your featured images need to reflect your brand,
your
style, your message. It's about creating that cohesive online presence.
Okay.
Imagine if Simon used a picture of I don't know, a plate of pasta as the default image for a blog post about his amazing pastries. It just wouldn't make sense.
No.
It would be like walking into his cafe, expecting a cappuccino, and finding out they only serve green smoothies.
Yeah.
Not exactly what you signed up for.
Not what you were hoping for.
Nope. You want those images to be relevant.
Okay.
Engaging, representative of what your website is all about.
So it needs to be genuine and authentic.
Exactly. And of course, optimized for SEO.
Right.
Remember, search engines need context.
Yeah, they need all the help they can get.
They do.
So we're talking file names, alt text, all that good stuff.
Yeah, all those little details that help search engines figure out what your image is actually showing.
Okay.
It's like giving your images a voice so they can talk to the digital world.
I like it.
Right? Instead of image1.jpg, Simon could use something way more descriptive like Simon Cafe Melbourne-croissants.jpg.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then the alt text could be something like freshly baked croissants at Simon's Cafe in Melbourne.
So it's like giving each image a little ID card.
Exactly.
Well, everyone knows what's up.
I like that analogy.
Okay, but to be honest, all this image stuff, it can feel a bit overwhelming at times.
Sure, I get that.
You've got plugins, SEO, brand consistency. It's a lot to keep track of.
It is.
And this is where I'm thinking maybe a company like Now Technology Systems comes in.
Ah, yes, Now Tech.
Yeah, they're mentioned in our source material
Right.
as a potential solution for businesses that are struggling with all this stuff.
They can be a huge e-help.
Okay.
Now Tech really specializes in supporting Australian businesses with, all things digital,
Right.
websites, SEO, even video production.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. It is. But, I can hear you thinking out there,
What's that?
isn't hiring help like that's super expensive?
Yeah, that's usually the first question that comes to mind.
Right. Can't I just DIY this stuff?
Right, especially for smaller businesses.
Of course.
Of course.
It's a valid question.
Yeah, because time is money.
It is.
And we're all wearing like a million hats these days.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Sometimes trying to DIY everything actually ends up costing you more in the long run.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it.
What?
You could spend hours, days, even
Yeah.
trying to wrap your head around all the ins and outs of SEO. Or you could partner with experts who already have all that knowledge
Yeah.
and can put those effective strategies into action right away.
So it's about like leveraging their expertise.
Exactly.
So you can focus on other things.
Exactly. Free up your time and energy to focus on what you do best.
Right. So in Simon's case, that would be making those delicious pastries.
Exactly. It's kind of like hiring a professional electrician
Okay.
instead of trying to rewire your entire house yourself.
Oh, yeah. It's a good analogy.
Right. You might save some money up front,
Right.
but the potential headaches down the line,
Yeah.
they're just not worth it.
No, they're not. And especially when it comes to the digital world, things are constantly changing.
Oh, tell me about it.
Algorithms are updating,
Yeah.
trends are shifting. New technologies are emerging all the time.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It is. So partnering with a company like NowTech,
Yeah.
it gives you access to a team that's on top of all those changes.
They're like your digital Sherpas,
Haha.
guiding you through this ever-changing online world.
Okay, that's a great analogy.
They know the terrain, they know the challenges, and they can really help you get where you need to go.
Safely and efficiently.
Exactly. But it's not just about the technical expertise, is it?
Right. Our source also emphasized NowTech's focus on Australian standards.
Yeah, and consumer behaviors.
So what does that actually mean, like in a practical sense?
It means they get the nuances of the Australian market.
Mm-hmm.
What works in one country might not work in another.
Right.
They know the culture, they know the consumer preferences,
Yeah.
the legal landscape, all of that.
So it's about having that local knowledge.
Exactly. They're like your local guide.
Okay.
They know the best spots, and they can steer you clear of those tourist traps.
And they can make sure you're having like an authentic experience.
That's the goal. And it's not just about reaching a wider audience either. It's about connecting with the right audience.
Yeah, the people who are actually going to become customers.
Exactly. Now, tech helps businesses bridge that gap between, the digital world and the real world. That's important.
Yeah, making sure their online presence really reflects what they're all about.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From the details of SEO to, the bigger picture of brand strategy.
It's all connected.
But, there's one thing that keeps coming back to me.
What's that?
We've talked about default featured images as a safety net,
Right, like a placeholder?
Yeah, a way to avoid those blank spaces.
Yeah.
But what if we saw them as something more than just placeholders?
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
What if we thought of them as a way to really capture our brand,
Okay.
to convey a feeling, to tell a story?
I like where you're going with this.
It's not just about having an image, it's about what that image says. So you're talking about taking those featured images and making them more strategic.
Exactly.
Elevating them beyond just a functional element.
Yes, it's like those featured images become these little windows into like your brand's soul,
Oh, I like that. And what's really cool? As technology keeps moving forward, those windows are becoming more dynamic.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think about it. Interactive images, animations, even short video clips.
Wow.
As featured content.
Oh.
We're not just talking about static images anymore.
So it's not just a still life.
Nope. It's about capturing attention, pulling people in.
Okay, but hold on a sec. Our source material mentions this thing about respecting image rights.
Yes.
Especially in Australia.
Right.
Does that get trickier with all these fancy new technologies?
It's definitely something to keep in mind.
Okay.
As those lines get blurry between images and video, the legalities can get more complicated.
Right.
You have to be super careful about licensing agreements and usage rights. It's not as easy as just grabbing a stock photo anymore.
So it's even more important to work with someone who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. Someone like Now Technology Systems, they can help you navigate all those legal issues.
Right.
And make sure you're using these awesome visual tools in a way that's, ethical and responsible.
It's like having a legal eagle on your team.
Exactly. Making sure you don't fly into any copyright turbulence.
Okay, so we've gone from the don't forget your images basics to talking about AI and legal eagles.
We have covered a lot of ground.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. And it all started with just one question.
What's that?
What's the big deal about featured images?
And I think we've answered that pretty thoroughly.
I think so too.
They might be small, but they can make a huge impact on how people see your brand.
Definitely.
And how they interact with your content.
And, it doesn't matter if you're a cafe owner in Melbourne.
Right.
Or a tech startup in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
The principles are the same.
Correct.
Choose images that reflect your brand. Optimize them for search engines.
Right.
And use them in a smart way to tell your story.
It's about making those pixels work hard for you.
Absolutely. Don't underestimate the power of visuals.
Yeah, they can really make or break your online presence.
Exactly. It's all about creating an experience that's, compelling and memorable.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap up our deep dive into the world of WordPress featured images.
Sounds good. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Until next time.